Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Bill Ellsworth. I'll talk to you today about IAC. Some of you on the webinar I know are already contracted and writing business with us. We appreciate that. A little bit about IAC as a background. They're headquartered in Edmond, Oklahoma, and they've been in business over 50 years, got a B+ rating with AM Best, which is, if you follow that kind of stuff, it gives them a very stable outlook for the future. Anyway, what I want to talk to you about today here, and I'll try to get you in and out of here as quickly as possible so you can get your weeks wrapped up for the Labor Day weekend holiday. I do have a guy on the webinar with me. His name's Todd Weiss. He is a licensed agent, so he is very qualified to answer any questions that you might have as we move through here, and give him a hard time. I think in a couple of days he's headed for Italy for 2 weeks. So make him work before he leaves, if you would, please. What we want to talk about here today is the topics of discussions, where this product's available, give you some ideas of how this stacks up against the competitors, and explain the household discount where it is only one person apply versus two, talk about submitting new business and a new online express app that we're getting a lot of good feedback with. I've used it myself a couple of times, and it is a very, very slick process for us as agents. So anyway, here's the product map. This is where we offer product. If you look at the next map, it'll show where the discounts are available. Any state that you're listening from that has a red dot on it is only a one-person need apply state. In other words, you could have a guy turning 65 and his wife's only 60 years old, and he would still qualify for the household discount even though just she isn't even eligible for Medicare yet. You see two states there with blue dots. One would be Ohio. The other would be New Jersey. We tried to get the one person applied there, but both DOIs came back and said, no, you got to have two people apply. Two people have to be approved before they qualify for the household discount. And again, guys, gals, it's a household discount, not a husband and wife discount. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we move through here. If you look at Idaho, there is no discount available in Idaho for the simple reason Idaho was going down the same path Ohio and New Jersey was. So we sat down with the actuaries and said, hey, just reduce the rates across the board. Everybody will get a lower rate that way. And we won't have to worry about the two people apply. I just not have any discounts to have two people apply. That creates a lot of headaches and challenges for you and I when we're out there in sales field. So all the states in red dots, one person need apply, tremendous advantage for you and I when we're out there marketing product. So take a look at the rates. We'll see in some places we're in top share, in some places we're not, but we knew that going in. If you look at Utah, we're down in the 4th or 5th slot down there. We're at 129 or 121.19. We do offer a 7% discount, one person need apply in Utah, so that drops us down to 112.71, which makes us extremely competitive if you are in the household discount situation. Now, everybody take a look at the very bottom where it says rates are based on a Plan F, female, age 67. So the reason we started out at age 67 is we kind of wanted to take that turning 65 bullseye off our back. If you have been out there in the sales field for any length of time, I started selling Med Sup back in 1984. The Medicare Part A deductible was $356 at that time. That's changed a little bit. Anyway, I don't know how many times I've heard when I'm sitting down doing my discovery with my prospect, and they're going to be 65 in 2 or 3 months, and they tell me a story sounds kind of like this. So, you know, Bill, I've got this hip that really, really bothers me. I limp. I can't hardly walk. The doctor's already told me I need to have a hip replacement, but I've got a $5,000 deductible on my major medical, and I want to go ahead and wait till I turn 65 and go on Medicare, and that way I can get my Medicare supplement and not have any bills to pay out of my pocket. So I'm going to let Medicare and my Medicare supplement pay that bill. I know that's, if you've been in this business any length of time, you've heard stories similar to that. So that's why our rate's the same at 65 as it is 67. That's not saying it's a bad rate. It's just not, we could have shaved it down at 65 is what I'm telling you, but that's the reason why we did not. I think you're going to see a lot of companies kind of take that approach to kind of get that T65 bullseye off their back. In Kansas, we are at 126.76, so that's 7% household discount in there. and that drops us down to $117.89. Shenandoah has a 5% discount, but that would still make them a little higher than us. So we're pretty comfortable. We're getting a lot of good business out of the state of Kansas. In Missouri, which is my domicile state, guarantee issue state, we have a tremendously good rate in Missouri for a 67-year-old female. It's $145.56 with a 7% household discount. Then that brings us down to $135.37, and that for a Plan F, guys, gals, is a good price. Now, I'm also going to show you some Plan G comparison rates, and I want you to keep that $145.56 in front of you, because I want you to stop and think about some of the things that you and I are going to be forced to start thinking about in a few years down the road, and that's the discontinuance of Plan F and Plan C, in other words, first dollar coverage. According to the people who run our country, they say that that drives up cost, and they're going to do away with Plan F, Plan C, and that means Plan G will be the new Cadillac. So remember that $145.56, and I'll show you a Missouri Plan G rate here shortly. South Dakota, we're at $117.30. Take that household discount, that puts us at $110.12. We're at $118.41. I was looking at the top, and that takes us down to $110.12. So that's a very good rate in South Dakota. The only bad thing with South Dakota is it's not a very heavily populated state. If I remember right, the last time I checked, South Dakota total population for the entire state was just a shade over 500,000. So that's about the population of Kansas City, but still a beautiful state. Love South Dakota. I've been there many times. Texas. Everybody wants to play in Texas. It's like another economy down there. So you can see we're at $119.80. 7% household discount makes us come in at $111.41. And I will tell you, the business is really rolling out of Kansas, or out of Texas. We've got a big agency down there with American Senior Benefits, and the guy that runs that's a guy by the name of Jake Bailey, does a tremendous job, and his guys are really writing a lot of business for us. So we do appreciate all you folks in Texas, or you can actually live in Missouri and sell in Texas also, with what we're going to talk about here in just a minute. Again, only one person in Texas need apply to get the discount. So there's the Missouri Plan G rate. If you remember right, the other rate was $145.56. Well, the only difference, as you guys well know, that between a Plan G and a Plan F is $147 deductible. If you sell a Plan G today, and they've already been to the doctor a couple of times and they've got a Plan F, they've already met their $147 deductible. They don't even have to worry about that until this time, until January of next year. So with the deductible taken out of that, that's $12 and something a month. If you add $12 onto 120, you're at $132. Well, that means you got apple to apple. Would you rather pay $145 or $132 for an apple? If they look the same, taste the same, weigh the same. So use your legal pad when you're out there competing with a Plan F. Sometimes when you're selling a Plan F, there's not that many dollars difference. They say, well, I think I'll just stay. I'm kind of familiar with this company and how they work. You can continue to just walk away, or you can get your legal pad out and start educating on the differences between Plan F, Plan G, and some of the things coming down the pipe to where they're eventually going to have to move to a Plan G, because it's all going to be offered as far as Plan G, Plan F. So a lot of good things out there right now. Anytime there's a little chaos out there, that's good opportunities for you and I as far as marketing. But with our discount, that throws us down to $111.68 on a Plan G, 67-year-old female in the state of Missouri. Guys, I'm here to tell you that's a pretty strong price. Pennsylvania, with the discount, we're at $100.54. We had some guys out in Pennsylvania last week in Pittsburgh and King of Prussia, I think, township out there, and they were doing a seminar or a summit for Ritter marketing, and a lot of good things going on in Pennsylvania. 106 for Sentinel. IAC's at 108.11, but with our discount, that drops us down to $100 and some change. Very good price. South Carolina, if you are selling Plan G in South Carolina, CC Standard Life has a $90.93 rate. We come in at $95.59, but they have a 5% discount. We have a 7%. So basically, by the time you do the math, we're a little bit cheaper than they are, about $1.50 cheaper. Not a lot of difference, but you know, it still gives you a very competitive edge, especially when you talk about how we can onboard business in certain situations. So we'll talk about that shortly. Texas, $96.94 for standard. IAC's at $97.87. Again, standard has a 5. We have a 7 household discount. Introduced the products about the same time, and both companies are doing quite well in Texas. I know a lot of people that work for standard, and they're doing well in Texas. Of course, like I said, it's a whole new economy down there in Texas. New Jersey, we also had a group of guys out in New Jersey going over the IAC rates, and they were pretty happy when we started showing them this discounted Plan G rate. 123.20. If you take a look at that, Manhattan's comes in at 134. Well, that's $11 difference, 11 and a nickel difference just in the difference in one person. So you take that times 2, and that's, you know, that's $300-400 for a couple. So that kind of helps us place that business. Utah, another state where we're doing quite well in. Our Plan G rates coming in at $99.01. 7% household discount drops us down to $92.08. We are doing quite well in Utah, so we appreciate everybody out there that's helping us out. Okay, I'm going to buzz through this application real quick because I want to get into the meat of this webinar, and that is the new introduction of our Online Express app that's going quite well. But I do want to cover the app in detail a little bit with you, and if you have any questions, again, shoot those into Todd. He'll be more than happy to try and get you anything you need. If you need rates, maps, things like that, we can sure help you with that. Part 1 is all the personal information. Every company out there, if you've sold business for any company for any length of time, you know you've always got to do the personal information, height, weight, date of birth, stuff that's pertinent to getting the policy issued. Part 2 is your plan selection. It will tell you all these forms are state specific, what plan you're selling. Some states we have to offer different plans, state requirements, so in those states we have to put those on there, but typically A, F, G, and N is what we're offering. You will normally see the tobacco use question right here. Some states require us to put those in with the health questions. I do believe Tennessee is one of those. So if the tobacco use question is not right there, it will be with the health questions. Eligibility, when did they go on Medicare? Are they on Medicare? If they are, what's their Medicare effective dates? And then you continue to drop right on down through their current situation. Number 3 addresses, do you have any other, if you've had any other Medicare coverage like a Medicare Advantage, PPO, HMO, you check yes on that. 4 and 5 would be no. Of course, if you check number 4 yes, then 3 and 5 would be no. And if you check 5 yes, 3 and 4 would be no. Just lets us know what they currently have. About the only time they'd all be no's if they don't have any coverage at all. Did have one go through like that yesterday, to where the person had a plan with AARP, but canceled it in January of this year and had had nothing but Medicare since then. So if that's the case, then they all would be no, but that doesn't happen very often in today's marketplace. This is very important that you guys understand what Part 5 on the general information is located on page 3 of the application. I do believe if you're in California, which California is now starting to really catch fire, I think it's located on page 8 in California. But it's important that you understand you're going to be asked if you're doing a telephonic app, or if we call your policyholder and we may ask them this question, did you have read to you the general information located on Part 3 of the application? The correct answer is always yes. And here's how I cover this with my policyholder. I sit there and say, well, Mr. Jones, let me just tell you, you don't need, I turn around and let him look at it, so you do not need more than one Medicare supplement policy. If you enroll in our product, it's always wise to evaluate your current situation and make sure you don't have multiple coverages. And if you ever become eligible for Medicaid, you have certain rights and privileges. And if that ever happens, I want you to contact me, and I'll go through that with you. Go ahead and read through this as I'm going on down through the app, and I'll let them kind of just look at it. That way, when the underwriter gets on the phone, and if they ask your policyholder, did you have read to you, or were you allowed to read the general information located on Part 3 of the application, and they said, I'm not for sure what you're talking about there, because I've had that happen a time or two, then you can jump in and jog your memory and say, you know, Mr. Jones, that's when I showed you the part there that you do not need more than one. Oh, yeah, he said that kind of jogs your memory, that first sentence. kind of brings them around to the correct answer, which is yes. So make sure you're aware of that. They will be asked that. Part 6 of the application is a general guarantee issue information. They are state-specific, letting you know what the GI rules are in each state that you're selling in. Part 7 is the household premium discount. And this is why we think about 75 to maybe 80% of the people we talk to qualify for this. It says, do you have a household resident of at least one but no more than 3, yes or no, that you have continuously resided with for the last 12 months, or with whom you reside with and you're either married or in a civil union partnership. You notice on IAC where a lot of companies are wanting a date of, a social security number or maybe something like that. We don't ask that. We just want their name and the relationship and their address, making sure it's the same address, of course, that's on the front of the app. So it's very liberal in the household premium discount information section. If you have any questions, let us know. We'll go over that with you in more detail. Part 8, of course, is where you disclose what kind of premium they're paying. Are they doing it monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, bank draft, whatever they're doing. Just remember, if you're doing a telephonic app, they cannot be paying annual, semi-annual, or quarterly. That is strictly monthly bank draft, quarterly bank draft, semi-annual bank draft, or annual bank draft. It has to be some sort of a bank draft to get the telephonic app pushed through. You can request your effective date, your bank draft date. Just remember, on the effective date, we will make it effective any day of the month, as long as you don't go past the 28th. If you look right here, select bank draft day, the 1st through the 28th. You can't do the 29th, 30th, and 31st. But here's the key with what I'm getting at, guys. If you make the effective date, let's say you write a policy today, and you want the effective date to be 10/1 of this year. That's not a problem. You can request the bank draft date be on the 10th of the month or anything prior to the 10th of the month, and that way they will not get a draft now and another one in October, because we're going to draft on approval. We want to get you paid. If you tell us not to draft for a month, we probably won't pay you until a month goes by. So we've got to get that first premium collected. We are trying to change that, but don't call in and say, well, I heard on the webinar that as soon as it gets approved, we get paid, or submitted, we get paid. We're working on that. We think we've about got that done, but there is some programming going on, so we're trying to, again, get money in your pocket as quickly as possible. But anyway, back to my example. If you write it today, ask for a 10/1 effective date, and the bank draft is anywhere from the 1st to the 10th, the draft that we get once we approve it, the initial draft, will pay for the month of October. If you say, I want the bank draft to be on the recurring bank drafts to be on the 15th of each month, we're still going to draft now, or as soon as we approve it, as long as the policyholder says that's fine. We will clear that with them. And then we would draft again on the 15th of October for November. So they would have 2 fairly close bank drafts right there together. So explain that to your policyholder. Generally, when you explain it to them, they're okay with it. Just make sure they don't get blindsided with it, because then you're going to get that angry phone call from the policyholder. Say, oh, they drafted my account twice. They drafted it on the 15th of this month, and then they drafted it again on the 15th of October. So as long as they understand the process, we're good. And sometimes when you tell them that, they'll say, well, if that's the case, just make the draft on the 10th. A lot of these people got plenty of money. Some of them that don't are on a budget, but a lot of these seniors don't. They don't mind it. They just want to know going in what the process is. There's a household discount. I went ahead and blowed that up. I know it's sometimes a little harder to see, just so that you're aware of it. And again, we think about 70 to 80% of the people you talk to qualify for this household discount, and that's a huge benefit for you and I when we're out there selling, especially if we're in a situation where you walk in and one person is in terrible health. Maybe they're on oxygen when you get there and they're not in a guarantee issue situation, but the other spouse is in good health, and you can use that as a selling point. Mr. Jones, I understand your wife can't qualify for our product. However, you are married. We're going to go ahead and reduce your premium another 7%. And you can just use that, little things like that. A lot of little yeses add up to the big yes at the end. There's a copy of the application, strictly a yes-no application. If they answer number 4, have you been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, dementia, or any other cognitive disorder, fold your tent and head on out the door, because that's a decline right off the bat. You don't need to call underwriting or anything. You already know it's a decline. So pretty simple. Don't have a lot of time spent on that right now, so we're going to move right along. That is the application for medication, the date they originally prescribed it. I tell everybody, I said I take blood pressure medicine, and if you ask me when I started taking it, I'd tell you, 7, 8 years ago. Well, that's good enough. Just write approximately 2008 on there. As long as it's been more than 2 years, that's what we're looking for, is the medicine doing the job? Are we getting good control? Or is it a situation where I've been on one drug for blood pressure, that didn't work. I had another one for about 6 months, that wasn't working, and then they put me on 2 drugs. Then we don't have control, and that's a problem for the underwriting department. So make sure that they know about when that medicine was prescribed, the dosage, and what that medicine's for. Signature pages, replacement notice, things like that. Okay, submitting new business. I want to talk about several different opportunities for you guys on submitting business. We have the face-to-face, which is a telephonic. That's the old style where you go door to their house, sit down at the table, and work with them. As soon as that face-to-face is over, you can pick up the phone, or not when it's over. As soon as you're pretty sure they qualify for your policy, you can pick up the phone, call the underwriting department, get a policy number established right then and there. Get your approval, yes or no, right then or there. You can also do face-to-face and do it on the electronic e-app situation that we're doing now. If you have a hotspot, you've got to have internet access. But let me give you an example. I did a face-to-face the other day, and I didn't have internet access, and I was late for my next appointment. So I sat down and I talked with this lady, and I said, listen, I'm pretty sure you're going to qualify. I'm going to go home in the morning. I will enter all of this into my agent portal, and you will get a call from the underwriting department real soon. As soon as I get that in there, they guarantee an underwriting call to you within the next 24 hours. So are you going to be around here tomorrow morning? And she said yes. I entered that thing at about 9:30. Before 11 o'clock, I had already got the approval and the policy number. I called her up and I said, oh, by the way, Helen, I just got back, called from or emailed from the underwriting department. I got your policy number right here in front of me. Let me give it to you. You were approved. So that's how quick this can actually work for you. You can also do a 3-way call center setting and do the same process. You can either enter it on the computer, or you can, as soon as you enter it on the computer, pick up the phone and call. We'll get into that here more in just a second. So some of the benefits to you and I for call center settings, or for the telephonic app process, is immediate results of the sale. So you kind of give you a couple of what I'm talking about right there, but let me give you another example of things that we hate but we have to deal with as agents. I'll bet there's nobody listening right now that's ever had a policy declined. I know I've had several since 1984. So my point being is, if you're going to get a declination and you're face-to-face with your policyholder and you have time to pick up a phone, call the underwriting department, and at the end of the underwriting call, they hand the phone back to you, the agent, and they said, well, Bill, they're not going to meet the underwriting requirements. We're going to have to decline this application. So think about the process the old way. You find that out about 2 or 3 weeks after you've been there selling the policy, thought you were going to get paid for doing something, didn't. Then you got to pick up the phone, you got to call that policyholder up and say, good news, Miss Jones, I just heard from the insurance company, they declined you. But I'm going to be back over there this afternoon at 2 o'clock or in the morning around 10. Would either one of those 2 times work for you? And the conversation goes kind of like this. Well, Bill, I was getting nervous. I didn't think they would probably approve me, so I just went ahead and paid my other policy. I'm just going to stay where I'm at, but I do appreciate you trying to help me. My point being is, you're going to get a decline. You're always going to get declines in this business. That's just part of it. Isn't it a lot better for you and I as agents, if we do get that decline, that we're sitting there face-to-face with the policyholder and we know it's okay, you declined, Miss Jones, Mr. Jones, doesn't look like you're going to meet the underwriting requirements for IAC. However, based on what you're currently paying, I know there's a couple of good opportunities with maybe XYZ company or ABC company that I know their rates are still quite a bit less than what you're at, and they're a little bit more liberal in their underwriting than IAC. So let's go ahead and look at that. You don't have to drive back. You don't have to worry about trying to get back in the door. You're already there. So if you're going to get a decline, now's the time. Well, you're right there face to face with them. Easier to go from point A to point B if you're already sitting there. So that's a good time saver for your policyholder and you. Saves you less time and travel back, which means more money in your pocket because you're not burning the same gas to sell the same apple twice. And it also, if you do get the policy placed, gets you paid quicker, and there's also less opportunity for mistakes on the application by doing it the telephonic way. The underwriters type everything in the recorded interview, and that application is in the back of the policy when it comes out. Okay, a couple really important things for you and I. On the telephonic application, make sure that you make the sale before you make the call. The underwriting department won't resell the policy when the policyholder gets on there. So another important thing, if the policyholder has trouble hearing, let the underwriter know that up front. So you know, hey, Adriana, Ms. Jones has a little problem hearing on the telephone, so maybe you could kind of speak a little louder and a little slower to help her out. They'll be happy to do that, especially if they know it. I always have the client prepared. I call this a cheat sheet, but it's not a cheat sheet to lie on the application. It's just things that we know are going to be asked and is going to help make the process flow smoother and quicker. So make sure they know their Social Security number first off on the telephonic app. They will ask that right off the bat, and then they will close with that for verification purposes. Ms. Jones, could you please repeat your Social Security number one more time? If they don't know it, and you will run into some times where they don't remember it, that doesn't happen that often, but if they don't know it, make sure it's right there in front of them. Make sure their Medicare number's right there. Generally, it is their Social Security number, but not always. It could be their deceased spouse or something like that they're drawing off of a divorced spouse, or maybe they're a railroad retirement. The numbers are in the front. So make sure they have their banking information readily available. We're going to ask for information in the lower left-hand corner and their account number on that check. If you're having to do replacement, make sure they know what policies they currently have. You can help with these kind of things. Make sure you discuss the bank draft prior to calling. You don't want the underwriter to have to say, well, Ms. Jones, when do you want the bank draft? If they say, well, the 5th of the month would be great, or if they say, well, I don't know, I hadn't talked about that, then they have to establish that. You get what I'm saying. It just makes the process go a lot smoother when we ask for medications, doctors' information, things like that. And again, located on page 3, the general information, make sure they are aware of that. If you have to replace a policy on a telephonic app or a paper app that you're submitting, if you want to fax a replacement number, there's a fax number right there that you can send it to. And we have eliminated the replacement need in the electronic app, which we'll cover here real quick. Most important, do not coach the client. The underwriters will be able to spot that. I just had a guy call the other day and said, I wasn't coaching them. I'm pretty sure he was, but make sure the policyholder can answer all the health questions on the HIPAA-protected information. Other stuff you can help with, like the checking information, they may want the approval from the policyholder for you to do it, but they'll let you help with those kind of things. Okay, so the electronic app. This is something we just introduced not too long ago. We are getting a lot of good feedback. I would encourage you to try it. Policy is completed online by the agent with the exception of only 2 things, and that's medical and banking information. You will have already done the medical on your end, and the banking, the policy holder will get that. The underwriter will get all that. The underwriter will call the client within minutes, no longer than 24 hours to complete the application, and the results will be emailed to you, the agent. So again, you heard me talk earlier about what I done. I took an app, and then I went home and I entered it in the computer, got the decision within a couple of hours. Or you can simply fill out all the electronic information, hit the submit button, and do a 3-way call with the underwriting department. You dial up, you say, hey, this is Bill Ellsworth. My agent number is 2100529. I just submitted an application on Joe Jones electronically. Do you have that in front of you? They will pull that up and stop and think about what we've just done or how the things we've talked about. I've already filled out the entire app except for the verification of medicine and the health questions and the banking information. So now an instant approval, you can get an instant approval in 5 to 10 minutes, depending on whether it's a guarantee issue, an open enrollment where there's no health questions or medications, or a fully underwritten is going to take about 10, instead of being on the phone 20 to 25 minutes. You've done most of the work. They've got it in front of them. It's legible because you type it in, and they will get on there and do that phone call and give you the policy number right there over the phone while you're either doing a three-way call with the policyholder while you're sitting there with them, or in my situation, I come home and entered it in, but it got it done real quick. But in this situation, we're talking about you doing the three-way right after you fill everything out. You're going to have a policy number in 5 to 10 minutes. Usually anywhere from 9 to 12 minutes, you should be on your way to your next opportunity. Policy number is issued immediately upon approval. The application is in the back of the policy, and it only makes sense that if we just approve the policy in 9 to 12 minutes, you're going to get paid quicker. So everything's in order and in place and out the door. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to your IAC agent website. If you don't have access to that, or if you've never been on that, I encourage you to get on there. If you have trouble with your password login, call into our office. Cindy and Rita can reset your password really quickly, and then you can get on there and change that once you get back in. So you're going to get into your IAC agent website, and you're going to go over to your support key. You click on the support key, and you come down to the Online Express app. You hit that tab, and then that will pull this screen up, and it will show over in the upper left-hand corner to start your application. Now, if you're just selling in one state, only one state will fill in this box right here, and you click that state. But if say you're, like in my situation, I live in Kansas City, which is a border state to Kansas. So I'm licensed in both states. I also am licensed in all these other states you see on there. So I got to pick out if I'm writing an app in Kansas, I got to click on Kansas, and that'll pull up a Kansas application. And then, guys, gals, all you got to do is start going down through here. Every time you see a required field over on the upper right or in the right-hand side right here, anytime you see required on any of these down through here, that means you have to put something in there. So when I get over here, what is the applicant applying for? I'm going to click right on that little arrow right there, and then all plans available in Kansas, A, F, G, and N will drop down, and I'm going to click on whichever plan I'm marketing. Pretty simple. Then you just keep right on going down. Did you meet with the application in person? Yes or no? You answer all the questions, and then you simply go on down through there. You put in their social security number right here. Once you click on this little box, or once you click or put your mouse on there and click on that, the social security numbers you'll type it in there. Their Medicare claim number, you can see you got a box here and a box over here. If you run into people on Medicare Railroad, the number is going to go to the left. If you're typical Medicare, the social goes in the middle, the letter goes on the right. So the application title and date of birth, everything that you normally would do on an application is right here. The whole thing is, everything's taken right off the application. It's right here. At that point, you're going to move right on through down to your telephone numbers, email address, if they want that on there, the best time to call the applicant. I think that's important. And one thing I will tell you that I hadn't been doing on any of the webinars that I had pointed out to me from an agent who has been using this is, and boy, this makes perfect sense. Once if you're doing an electronic app and you're not going to call in immediately, and you're going to, like I did in Marshall, I took an app, Marshall, come back, put it in a computer, make sure your policyholder is expecting a call from a 801 area code, or maybe it is a 888 area code. Just tell them that, say, hey, Miss Jones, you're going to be getting this call. It'll be an 801 or maybe an 888. That's our underwriting department calling. Go ahead and answer that, because in today's caller ID world, a lot of times people just don't answer the phone if they don't recognize the phone number. So make your client aware that, hey, we're going to try to call you at around 10 o'clock. Put the time in there, and we're trying to call you at 10 o'clock in the morning. Give us about an hour each side of that so that we'll make sure we get you taken care of. Then you put in their Medicare and insurance options right here. Every time you click a little down box right here, it's going to say, are you covered under Medicare? And then it'll just, everything that you see on the app, if yes, you put their effective date. If no, when will they be effective? You go right on to the very bottom to where you get down to your producer agreement. You fill in your state, date, you type your name in there, your phone number, and you just keep right on moving through it. Now what you don't see, guys, right down here, because I'm on my home office menu when I've done this, there will be a little button right down here where I just made that yellow mark, and it'll say submit application. Once you click that submit application, it's just like sending an email to somebody. If you've ever been on your computer and somebody said, hey, I just sent you an email, and you say, well, I don't have it yet, and then you continue talking, and then you'll get a little bar up in your upper right-hand screen, and it'll show who that email just came from, and you say, well, I just now got it. This is the same process. Once you click submit that application, it will go into the underwriting department. Give it about 3 or 4 minutes. Pick up the phone, call the underwriting department, and again, identify yourself with your agent number. Tell them you just submitted an online express app for IAC. They will locate that, and then they will go ahead and do the underwriting process right there with you there if you have time. If not, you can bring it back to your office and do it that way. So a great process, and we are just getting a lot of really, really good feedback. And I tell you, it's something that if you have suggestions, by all means, let us know. We're always open to making a process even better. Underwriting hours, 9 to 9 Eastern. It's open 12 hours in every time zone, Monday through Thursday, 11 hours in every time zone on Fridays. And not saying that we're going to be open on Saturdays during AEP, but we're pushing for that. We haven't got it done yet. We know that's everybody's busy time, and I know, it's a chaotic time for everybody, so we're trying to get some expanded hours for the AEP, but we will get you an email directive out on that if that happens. Contact sheet, place that you can, we get a lot of requests for this sheet right here. That way you guys have if you have a contracting or a licensing issue or maybe a commission issue, you can get a hold of us at the telephone numbers or email us. It'll come directly to the agency services department. So it's just really handy to have, and we try to get this out to everybody. Again, guys, gals, here's the maps that the product is available, and this is a national, what we call a national product. We may come out with a couple more states in 2016, haven't decided yet, but right now we just about got the whole country covered. There is a bonus program that goes on with this. We have 2 different programs. If you are a broker, we have a certain program if you're a licensed only agent. In other words, if you work for an agency and that agency pays your commissions, that means you're an LOA to that agency. Get in touch with your uplines. If you're a broker, you can give us a call here. We'll go over the guidelines with you. Most of you already know it, but this is a program that runs all year, and we're paying you cash for underwritten apps, a lesser amount for guarantee issue apps. So the focus is we want you to get the higher amount. We want a chance to underwrite the business. That helps us maintain rate increases. So if you're not aware of the bonus program, by all means, ask Todd. He'll get you some information. Again, guys, gals, my name's Bill Ellsworth, presenting here to you today. I appreciate you taking time to join us. And I'm going to open it up here. Todd, I imagine you probably have got most of the questions answered, but if not, we'll bring them up and we'll talk about them. If they are answered, we'll let them get back to work and get ready for the holiday.
No, we're going to